Today on Hertz Homestead, we're going to be talking about what it takes to start a homestead. So from what I've done, is I've gone out to multiple homesteads in the last 6 months, and I've seen like how they got their stuff going, how they've made their money, and how they've become more self-sufficient, and what their knacks are. Because every homestead has their own knack, so don't let any homestead control you, because we're all different. The biggest fear we all have is living in a city like this and getting trapped in it for the rest of our lives. So there's 3 questions you're going to ask yourself when you get into homesteading. The first 3 questions is, what is the reason you're doing it? Are you doing it for money? Are you doing it for a better lifestyle? Or to be more self-sufficient and get away from this crazy government and let you control your own food because you know what's healthy for you? First thing you need to think about is land. So land is the most important part. This is the biggest investment into this. And this is going to be different for all of us where we are financially. I am married, full-time college student, work full-time. Yeah, my $0 are comprendo. But this is an investment for your future. So whenever you start working on your homestead experience, that you got to think about the land and where you're going to put it. Mine is my backyard, and some of us have more money to go invest and go get more land. Second thing is the infrastructure. As you can see, this is a coop that I had to spend about $250 on, and so I have about 2 or 3 different coops, and you're gonna have to invest money into predator proof to them, feeders, stuff like that. And you're going to want to think about stuff to get like for predators, because I had a bunch of cats that were breaking in and raccoons and eating off my chickens' heads and my quail heads. So I invested in some traps and a little gun, and they've all disappeared. And then trying to figure out what your niche is for homesteading. If it's gardening or having fruit trees or honeybees or meat animals or dairy animals. Trying to figure out what your go-to thing is and what you want to do for your homestead, because this is all going to grow. And the second thing is thinking about costs like feed, fertilizers, stuff like that. Those things all add up in numbers, but you want to start now because, like, take honeybees for example. The equipment isn't cheap, and if you can spread that investment out over a couple years and really get your setup going, that's going to really help you financially and not make it such a financial burden. Ask around. Get experience from other good, experienced homesteaders that are doing it. Find a cheaper way to maybe feed your animals. Like, I can go to a restaurant and maybe say, hey, if you have any extra food scraps, can you please give that to me? I'm going to feed it to my animals. Because all that stuff adds up into your little homestead. And ask questions. It never hurts to ask questions. What's the worst thing that someone says is no? Everybody agrees with me on this. Homesteading is work. So you guys are going to have to learn how to work real hard. So if there's other ways you can maybe set off the working load so much. Like, I started planting fruit trees. I'm going to plant more fruit trees next year and every year after this, because I would rather, plant it and then forget it. These are fig trees, and I learned myself this year, figs are amazing. I've never knew how delicious figs are. These are peach trees that I planted in my front yard, and I'm going to be slowly switching all my fruit trees, my useless trees, into nice trees that I like in my yard. Learning is the biggest thing. Not learning and wisdom and all that is gold. So go seek out people that are doing it and ask for advice, and go out and ask to maybe help them with their animals as they butcher them, or ask how they make money and see if that you can apply that maybe to something different like honeybees or quail or chickens. The hardest part for most people is getting to start, because they have a fear inside of them. But I'm just say this, what's the worst thing that happens? You fail and you try again the year after, because you're going to get better. You're going to study, because this is an investment. So if you put the time and energy into learning this, and I always suggest, my first 3 reasons at the very beginning of this video, let them all be those 3. I want to feed my family the best. I want to make money off of my homestead, and be more self-sufficient. For example, 3 things that I ran into this year that was like really, really sucked was that I learned from was my honeybees. I learned so much about honeybees this year. 2 was about making money off my quail. I found there was a gap in the market, and I'm making decent money off of them. And then thirdly was about soil. So my garden this year did terrible, like completely terrible. So I learned about soil and how fertilizer works, which I'm going to be putting a video up about that in the future. But I learned that my dirt sucks here. So learn. It's all about learning, and becoming more self-sufficient takes time. It's not going to be like you're going to hop in this and immediately know everything.